Alright, today I'm putting in piston rings and connecting rods. I've already wiped my cylinder bore out with brake clean, and then I wiped it out again with a clean towel with automatic transmission fluid and rubbed it dry. Make sure there's no residue in there. And before I put any pistons in, I want to make sure that my ring gaps are right. And, the oil rings, I'm just going to stick in here and take a look, because they're always wider than the compression rings. And I can just tell quick by doing this. Know that they're okay. The next thing we got here, we're going to do the second compression ring. And stick it in there like so. Turn it sideways. Take your piston. Carefully push it down a little bit so they're flat. And then get in here with your feeler gauge. You don't want any less than 10 thousandths according to the book. Pull that one out. Okay. Grab the top ring and you do the same thing. Push it down in there, pull it sideways. And gently rock and roll there. Okay. And we're going to check the gap. And we're good. We're just over 10. So we got the ring gap set. Don't have to mess with those. And the next thing, we're going to get the connecting rod on the piston. Alright, I slipped the pin through the rod, and this is the older style that has the clamp bolt, and you got to line up the little slot. I'm going to use a little bit of low strength thread lock, just a little dab, just for a little extra insurance. And one thing you don't want to do is clamp the rod in the vise and then try to tighten this bolt. You could twist something. So what I do is I just put a punch in the vise. That holds it. The pin is real solid. And we're going to torque this to 25 foot-pounds. Thought I had a little bit tighter than that. So that way I'm not putting any stress on the rod whatsoever. There we go. Okay. The next step would be to get some rings on that. We're going to start with the oil ring expander. Put that on there. I want to put these gaps opposite. I'm going to start with this one here. Get it on the bottom there. That one's on. And you can adjust them after you get them on to where you want the gaps to be. So it's not that big a deal. Just get them on there and make sure that that expander is not overlapped. And they do have it marked here with red and white paint right there. So I'm going to set that there over the pin. I'm going to hold that expander, and I'm going to bring this gap around to about there. And that one's not too bad. That's about where I want it. And everybody has their own preference of where they want their ring gaps, but that's where I've always set them. Next ring would be the second compression. And the dots go up. They say the dots trump out any other shape of the rings. So if you don't have any dots, then you got to go by how the ring is shaped. But if you have a dot, dots go up. You want to be careful not to overexpand, or you'll be buying a new ring set. There we go. The top one. Put the dot on the outward part. We'll get this lubed up and get the ring compressor on it, and We'll get that piston put in. Alright, I got the piston all lubed up. I've got the compression rings opposite of the oil rings. They're all opposite each other at angles, so none of them are lined up. So that's a good thing. Get this on here. They're clamped down. Make sure they're centered. You're not pinching anything. There we go. We're going to drop this in. Alright, we have our rod bearing installed, and we've got the ring compressor on, and we're ready to slide her down in here. Now you might want to put rubber hoses on these to protect your crank and everything. This will actually, I'll be able to get the cylinder or the piston in the bore before it even gets close to anything, so I can actually tap it down in there and reach underneath and grab it. So I don't have to really worry about it smacking anything, as long as I get it reasonably straight. You don't want to force it, you just want to make sure if it stops moving for any reason while you're tapping it, stop. There, I'm in. Okay. And I want to reach underneath, and I can grab the rod end and guide it over the crank. I'm still quite a ways away from it, so. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, I'm all the way down. We'll flip it over and we'll get that rod cap on. Okay, I got the engine flipped over, and I'm going to go ahead and plastic gauge this bearing. I've plastic gauged everything just to make sure. And you want to get your cap on correct. I've got the plastic gauge on there, and you want the surface dry. Don't turn the engine. Okay. Get these nuts on here. I'm going to torque that to 45 foot-pounds. Okay. Pull them back off. Well, this takes a lot of time to plastic gauge everything, but you know, it's not that I don't trust the machine shop. What could happen is possibly the wrong bearing got in the kit, and that would be disastrous if you had, say for instance, 20 thousandths oversized bearing and the rest were 10 or something. Let's see, come on. We're at about 1/1000 on the rod bearings, which is very well in spec. What you want to do, don't put this stuff together with that plastic gauge in there. Get a little brake clean and wipe it off. Somebody told me it was soluble once, and kid used it in his car. He just put the oil on, put the caps back on, he spun 3 rod bearings. So don't do that. Get it off of there. on the bearing. We'll get her back on hopefully for the last time here. Okay, I looped the bearing, put it back on. I cleaned the threads on the rod bolts and the nuts. And what I've done, I've just put a drop of blue Loctite, just a little extra insurance policy. It's a low strength Loctite, and I'll be able to get it off again, but just give you a little extra insurance. You don't have to worry about rod nuts flying off or anything. They're only torqued to 45 foot-pounds, which is actually quite a bit for the size of a bolt. Get these run up and torqued. Okay. Torqued to 45 foot-pounds again. Loctite. And the other thing I like to do is, because I get interrupted so many times doing stuff, I always like to mark them that they're torqued. Okay, now I've got all 8 pistons, 8 rods, bearings, all installed, and each time I put one piston and rod in, I turned it over, and each time it gets a little tougher, but I'd say it still turns over pretty nice. You got a lot of drag on those new rings, so the short block is basically assembled except for the camshaft, which hopefully I'll have this week. Okay, I flipped the engine over and isn't that just pretty? There we go. Pistons, crank, everything's in, turns over nice. And we'll get her bagged up because I'm not sure when I'm going to work on it again, so we'll go from there.